Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, Link is given tons of different outfits and weapons to swap between, and among these many new outfits and weapons are some old ones from previous adventures, with these items only being obtainable through scanning specific amiibo and hoping that the random loot within the chest it drops actually contains it, with the game only allowing you to scan each amiibo once per day. So, in this video we'll be looking at all of the unique drops within the amiibo chests in Breath of the Wild and comparing them to the original games. Anyways, hey guys, I'm ZeldaMaster, and let's get started. The Tunic of Time from Ocarina of Time. The parts for this tunic is obtainable through scanning the 30th Anniversary Ocarina of Time Link amiibo. When compared with adult Link, aside from Link being right-handed this time around, they do look exactly alike. Even with small details like Link's hair, with it being parted within the center, just like in Ocarina of Time. From the hair to the gloves to the boots, you really do feel like the hero of time playing in this tunic. The Fierce Deity Armor from Majora's Mask. This armor set is obtainable through scanning the Majora's Mask Young Link amiibo. Though in Majora's Mask, the Fierce Deity's armor was just the Fierce Deity's mask, and would transform Link into the Fierce Deity. Though in Breath of the Wild you get to dress Link up as this mighty deity, and with Link having completely white hair, face paint, and glowing white eyes, along with the attack buff you get from the armor set, you truly feel like the Fierce Deity when wearing it. And along with the Fierce Deity armor, you can also get the Fierce Deity Sword with also the Young Link amiibo. And sadly, like every weapon within the game, it will eventually break, so it doesn't really feel like the Fierce Deity Sword. That, and pretty much the only similarity between the two is the fact that they look alike. I mean, it doesn't even shoot the cool beams that it once did in Majora's Mask. Though when upgrade each piece of the armor set of the Fierce Deity armor, you'll actually receive a spin attack buff that will consume less stamina when performing a spin attack, allowing you to perform a much longer spin attack than before. But this buff is just like the Barbarian set, so I mean, nothing too special. Next up is the Tunic of the Wind from the Wind Waker. This set can be obtained through both scanning the Super Smash Bros. Toon Link amiibo or the 30th Anniversary Toon Link amiibo. And when comparing with the Wind Waker, I mean, they look alike, but it doesn't really fit, as Link was just a kid in the Wind Waker, and the tunic looks like it's for a kid. So, when compared, yeah, it doesn't really fit Link in Breath of the Wild, but it does look alike, and it's nice to see the comparison, and overall how Link could have looked if he grew up in the Wind Waker and still had the tunic on. Next up is my favorite, and that is the Tunic of Twilight from Twilight Princess. This tunic can also be obtained by two different amiibo, one being the Super Smash Bros. Adult Link amiibo, and the other being the new Twilight Princess Link amiibo. And again, a huge reason in why these tunics really resemble the Link from its respective title is because of the hair. Again, with Link's hair being a lot different, resembling Twilight Princess's Link with his hair. Along with other subtle details like the design on his boots and gloves and the chainmail underneath his tunic. Hands down the best tunic I feel like Link has ever had within any Zelda game. But that's my opinion. Let me know what yours is in the comments below. Anyways, to the next one. Next is the Tunic of the Sky from Skyward Sword. This set is obtained through the new Skyward Sword Link amiibo. And just like every tunic so far, when comparing the two, they look exactly alike, though it's the smaller details that really give it out to me. Like the way Link has slightly baggier pants in this tunic, or the fact that the green cap is slightly shorter than it is on other tunics. The Tunic of the Hero from the original Legend of Zelda. This tunic is obtained through using the 8-bit Link amiibo. And since Link is 8-bit in that game, there isn't really much to compare. So instead I decided to compare this tunic with the tunic Link wears in A Link Between Worlds, as it's similar to all of the tunics Link wears within the Fallen Hero timeline, with little details like the yellow around the green cap, or the bright undershirt underneath his tunic, or even smaller details like his hair and those very long sideburns. Next up is a Sheik's Mask from Ocarina of Time. This mask is obtainable through scanning the Sheik Amiibo, and when worn alongside the stealth armor, it sure does resemble Sheik from Ocarina of Time. So with this outfit, you pretty much disguise yourself as what Zelda once disguised herself as in Ocarina of Time. And when comparing the two, I mean, they do look alike, except the fact that Link doesn't have the red eyes Sheik did in Ocarina of Time. But aside from that, and with the stealth armor having a few extra armor plates on it, they do look very similar. Next up is the BIGGORON'S sword from Ocarina of Time. And as we know in Ocarina of Time, the BIGGORON'S sword was known to never break, as we did a side quest to build an unbreakable BIGGORON'S sword. So we're just gonna call this the Giant's Knife. When comparing the Giant's Knife with the BIGGORON'S sword from Ocarina of Time, they do look alike, except the fact that the scabbard is a lot different. But aside from that, the design on the sword itself is the same. The hero shield from the Wind Waker. You get the shield by scanning the Toon Zelda amiibo. Though its design is the exact same design from the Wind Waker, with it being the family shield Link is given to by his grandmother. Overall, I love the design on the shield as it looks very royal with the Triforce on it, and I mean, it's very shiny within Breath of the Wild. Next is a Sea Breeze Boomerang from the Wind Waker. Though in Breath of the Wild, the boomerang isn't just used to toss at your enemies, you can also use it for melee combat. Unlike in the Wind Waker, where it's a key item that you use to toss at your enemies and catch again. Though in Breath of the Wild you can do that, you just have to make sure to actually catch it. Next is the Twilight Bow from Twilight Princess, which requires scanning the Super Smash Bros. Zelda amiibo. Though Link was never actually given this bow or used it himself, it was used during the final battle within Twilight Princess, and that was when partnering up with Zelda on horseback to defeat Ganondorf. Though in Twilight Princess it wasn't known as the Twilight Bow, but the Bow of Light or just Zelda's bow. And I believe was given the name the Twilight Bow to represent the Twilight Princess who once owned it. And unfortunately, just like every weapon, the bow will eventually break, though it's by far the most unique item you obtain within the amiibo chests. And that's because it's the equivalent of the light bow within the game. And what I mean by that is the fact that it only uses light arrows and shoots just like the Bow of Light within the final battle in Breath of the Wild. And this bow can actually be used as an equivalent to the Bow of Light instead of using the Bow of Light in the final battle, which is very cool. Next is another interesting one, and this one is the Sword of the Six Sages. The weapon is obtained through scanning the Ganondorf amiibo. Let me just say that this sword is badass, with this being the same sword the sages used to attempt to execute Ganondorf, but sadly failing, resulting in Ganondorf keeping the sword and using it in the final battle within Twilight Princess. So from once being the Sword of Six Sages to being Ganondorf's sword, and you get to use this sword within Breath of the Wild, by far one of my favorite weapons within the game. Next up is the Goddess Sword, and pretty much out of all of the items you obtain within the amiibo chests, this is by far the most story-breaking one. I mean, we have chests that fall out of the sky that give us very unique items from previous heroes, so that alone breaks the fourth wall, but this breaks the story entirely, as the Goddess Sword became the Master Sword, and you get the Master Sword within the game, but you can also have the Goddess Sword, so pretty much we have two Master Swords within the game. And what's pretty funny is you can actually get a Goddess Sword that does more damage than the Master Sword itself, at least when it's not powered up. Okay, jokes aside, this is the sword that once contained 5 Spirit, as the Master Sword still does, and overall seeing this sword within the game is very cool, but makes little to no sense. Next up is the one you've all been waiting for, Sword. Yeah, it's literally just called Sword. And by reading the description of this item, you'll immediately know that this is the sword that Link originally gets within the original Legend of Zelda. The very first item you pick up, the item that it's dangerous to go alone without. This is Link's very first companion he has ever had within the series entirely. Though when comparing both games, you can't really see the similarities. I mean, duh. Next up, we don't have an outfit or weapon, but actually a mount within the game, and that is Epona. Epona can be obtained through scanning the Smash Bros. Link Amiibo. When summoned, you can register it at a stable, and it will be recognized as the legendary Epona. And I don't know if it's the art style or what, but in Breath of the Wild, Epona looks a lot better than she did in Twilight Princess. And when compared to Ocarina of Time's Epona, you'll notice that her mane is a lot shorter. And last but not least is Wolf Link. You can summon Wolf Link to journey Hyrule with you by scanning the Wolf Link Amiibo. Though in Breath of the Wild you can't actually control Wolf Link, as it's just an NPC that helps you when summoned. Unlike in Twilight Princess where you transformed into a wolf, being able to control it. And when compared side by side, there isn't really much of a difference aside from the graphics update and the fact that Midna is no longer riding Link. But anyways, that about does it for all the unique items you can obtain with the Amiibos within Breath of the Wild. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I had a lot of fun making it, though it did take me quite a bit to make as I had to record the footage from every game, but in general it was really fun, and I want to make more videos like this with comparing certain things within the game and overall seeing how Hyrule has evolved and just the franchise in general. Breath of the Wild overall feels like a huge tribute to every Zelda game, especially with all the Amiibo and all of the outfits and everything being in this game. So yeah, it's just nice to compare Zelda throughout the years. So if you have any other Zelda related ideas you'd want to see me do, let me know in the comments below. And again, thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to leave a like if you enjoyed. Anyways, I've been ZeldaMaster, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye!